Hello everyone, Cilantro here. Wanted to take a moment to talk about block placement. Now obviously, not talking about just regular block placement. Everybody should know how to do that. There are a few blocks in Minecraft that change how blocks can be placed with regards to their position. For example, torches can be placed in the ground, of course, and can also hang from the sides of a block, but cannot be placed on the bottom side of a block. If you try to place one here, instead, it's placed on the nearby wall. Other examples include redstone, which has a very, very strange box indeed. If you try to place a block on top of it, well, you can actually place a block on top of it, as opposed to covering it up. You can also place a block on the side, if you're really careful. Another example is the iron bars. Glass panes work the same way. The first one is treated more or less like a regular block. But if you start adding some more blocks to it, they become joined, and oftentimes it's a little more difficult to place more adjacent blocks. For example, if I want to place a block here, I could place it here, but if I wanted to place it off of the side, you have to make sure that you're aiming directly at the side, and then you're able to place the block relative to it. In some cases, these little quirks can actually be rather detrimental. They can get in the way of your building. So mastering the way that a lot of these blocks that have a stranger way of being placed or strange behaviors can save you a lot of time when you're playing Minecraft, as well as relieve some stress so you understand the mechanics of placing the blocks. Torches in particular are one of the more interesting blocks, and I find myself using them quite often for block placement aid. For example, if you want to build a staircase, oftentimes most players will do a formation something like this, where they will get to the side, place a block up, get to the side, place a block above, and so on. And there's nothing wrong with this, nothing at all. But if you're a little light on resources, but have some extra torches laying around, you can actually do this in another way. If you place a block, place a torch on that block, you can actually use the edge of the torch to place the block next to you. You can then reclaim that torch, hop up, and do it again. Slightly more time consuming, but if you're using this as a temporary scaffold or a temporary staircase to get somewhere, it's often a lot easier to demolish than placing more blocks. You also save resources if you're light on resources for building the particular object. You can save some on your way up there. Similarly, if you need to build a tunnel in, say, an adventure map or a PvP situation, torches also come in handy for this. You can place a block ahead of you, continue to build your bridge, but if you're enduring arrow fire coming from either side, you can actually place a torch and very simply place blocks to the sides. If you've already ensured that you're not going to get knocked off by, for example, building in this formation, you can also use the torches for the same effect. Now you will not be able to be sniped from the feet. Similarly, you can use the same principle to place torches instead of blocks by using blocks instead of torches. For example, I'm trying to connect power vertically to this piston. Normally, if I wanted to place a torch up there, I would have to tower up, place the torch, and tower back down. However, I can use this surface on the bottom side of the piston to place the torch. Since there's no legal place for it to hang off, the torch will actually only find the top side of this block to be placed on, and that's where it will reside. If I were to have a block to the side of this, the torch will instead end up there, not resulting in exactly the same effect that I had hoped for. One of my favorite tricks involving these principles is involving pressure plates. I find that using pressure plates just as they are is a little too, drab. Sometimes it's hard to really get a good visual of them, especially if it's on a stone or wooden floor. There's a nice way to remedy that. I actually prefer to put pressure plates on furnaces and crafting tables respectively. Unfortunately, trying to place these is futile, as you can't actually right-click on them without accessing their interface. However, using the tricks that we've learned, it's actually fairly simple. Place blocks adjacent to them, and use those blocks to place on top. Now, if I build a border around here to give it a little bit more contrast, you'll see that it actually greatly accents the appearance of the pressure plates, and it's using the aforementioned technique. Some blocks are actually overwritten if you try to place a block on them. For example, grass, fallen snow, and even vines are actually overwritten by the block you tried to place on them. Go away, Mr. Sheep! Now here's a situation that you might find yourself in. You've built a structure a little too high and actually want to place blocks on the underside of whatever you're standing on. There are a few ways to do this. One of the easier ones is to use a piston. So say I want to build on the bottom side of this, I can just walk up, place a piston, use a lever to push the blocks downward, and you can now see that I've placed a block on the bottom side. You could also use a bucket of water if you have one available. Simply pour water off the edge that you want to place the block on, float yourself down while you're levitating on the bottom side, place the block, and swim back up. Take that, physics. There is a third way, though it's a little bit more tedious. You can always place vines on the side of your structure and let them grow. It takes a little while, but eventually they will grow, and as we discussed earlier, vines are actually overwritten whenever you place a block on them. This allows you to build in a downward direction should you be out of pistons and, I don't know, in a desert, although this desert has quite a bit of water. And that's pretty much it as far as block placement tips go. If you have any that I did not get to, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I'd love to start a discussion down there about some other techniques you guys might have about block placement. Otherwise, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Actually, stop the presses. There is another way you can place blocks on the inner side of other blocks, but I would advise against it.